Hi, I'm Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. I'm a licensed therapist. I use that knowledge today, as well as just personal response, to look at Succession. Take a deeper dive into that world and those characters, and depends on how the episode goes, but I might be focusing on just one or two characters, or I might just be pointing out all of the family dynamics. But since I've never touched on this show before, I do want to go into what I see as like the root of the family dynamic, which will supply much of how I see all of the characters throughout the rest of the season. So that's just to give you an indication of how I'm seeing this and how I'm looking at it, and to bring you in on that. And hopefully it will be helpful to you to understanding these characters and people like this. And hopefully it'll be fun too. And I do love this show, and it is dark. And the more I've been thinking about it, the darker it feels. And so it is hard for me to do this actually, and to really think about these people and what it feels like for them. So I don't know if you guys feel that way, but it's dark. Yeah. So let's just get into it. Oh, I've seen the episode, this first episode. So this is my second time going through it, and I've been thinking about it and letting it marinate. So I'm giving you the thoughts from that place now. And of course, I've been thinking about these people for a while. So I'm coming at you from that place. So this isn't my first reaction to the episode, but I am trying to use the episode to understand these people. But I'm going to use this first episode to highlight the things about them that I've thought about and noticed. So let's get into it.
Hey, Ken? You okay?
Is he okay? He's in the bathroom.
I think this first scene with Kendall is obviously he's feeling a lot about what's just happened from the press conference from the end of season 2. And he is feeling a lot. He's going through it. It's probably it looks like it's the scariest thing he's ever done. And so he's working through all those feelings and trying to manage them. I think about Kendall, it reminds me of him being high a lot and on coke or whatever. And it's like it almost has that rush and that feel for him, like he's done something like that. It's huge because, as we already know, this is huge to have spoken out against his father in this way. And at this point, I'm really wondering, what this means to Kendall. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But at this point, I still don't know. And so I'm wondering what it means to him and what he's going to do with it now that what is he going to do after he's done this scary thing? What does it really mean to him? Because to this point, Kendall and none of the kids have individuated from the family and from their father. This is the biggest step we've seen in that direction. But what does it mean to him? How is he going to use it?
Jet's en route back. And where are we headed, sir?
I mean, do we know what he's thinking?
Yeah, well, he was talking about his mom a lot.
He's talking about his mom a lot. That's interesting. Mom, Logan, that is. If his mom sent him away, which to a child may just feel like rejection, even if she was trying to protect him, it may feel like rejection. So I'm wondering about the tie there, what he's thinking about there. If you guys have any thoughts about that, let me know, but I'm just sitting with that. So is the tie rejection? Is he feeling some kind of rejection from Kendall? Logan looked proud of Kendall at the end of season 2, and so now we're getting the moments after, like how it settled in for him. Maybe it's that he feels as jumbled at this moment by what's happened as he did when his mom sent him away, and went to live in a new country with new people. Maybe that's the link?
I don't know. Lots of interesting ideas flying around.
I got fired, he got fired, she got promoted, I got rehired, she got demoted.
I'll call you back.
Hey, Ken? If you're okay, will you just say okay so that I know you're okay?
As we know in this show, everything centers around Logan. I don't think you need a therapist to tell you that, but everything centers around him. How is he doing? How is he feeling? Everything is around him. And now Kendall has broken out, and you kind of get some of that too. Like, so now he's got a couple people, at least it's like, it's all centered around him. What's he doing? What's he thinking? What does he need? Which probably feels good to him.
Imagine you're no longer working for the company.
No, because I was acting in the best interest of the company.
Yeah, violating your duty of confidentiality, violating your fiduciary duty.
Are you in for this fucking revolution?
Oh, I know, it's exciting.
Are you with me? This is a fork in your life, Carolyn. This is the righteous vehicle. Okay,
not
stop the car. Out. Out, please. I need to make calls. I can't have weevils in the fucking flour sack, okay?
Because Kendall has always been straddling a line between how to please. How does he please his father? How does he get approval? And that's been his sole focus. But on that note, and individuation, so that I mentioned earlier, while this is a pull away from his father in a sense, and maybe toward some kind of individuation, it's still in reaction to his father. So it's not real individuation. It's not real and full and healthy individuation. It's still reaction to his father. And as such, he's still tied to his father. Real individuation would be truly his own thing without any connection to the father, or feeling like a very separate person. Even if he was working for his father, he would feel like a very separate person and could use his own self to feel good and feel good about himself, rather than needing constantly the approval of his father or to obtain the role that he wants in his father's company. And because none of the kids have been able to do this, they're always trying to be in an alliance with their father instead. Their expression of hatred and hostility toward their father, which is normal for children, is blocked. So of course, this is terrifying for Kendall, but my thought is the only way he can express this toward his father safely is actually in this public way. In a way, it's safer for it to be public.
Did you know he was going to do that? I was wondering.
Well, obviously not, Dad.
Uh-huh.
Kendall's mentally ill. He's insane.
Roman often
Where's my phone?
always will say the exact
Pop.
thing
We'll call you.
to whatever it needs to be to calm his dad down. Even when his dad has slapped him or hit him, he will end up being the one caretaking his dad and reassuring him, like, or pretending like it didn't happen, because he knows that's the thing to like make his dad feel better. And he will do that. And right there, I feel like that's another way that he does that. He says Kendall's mentally ill. So it's like he's essentially telling him, you don't need to worry about this. He's obviously crazy. There's no truth in this, which is what his dad needs to hear, I suppose. But you can see how, again, what dad wants, what dad needs, what's going on with Logan is the most important thing at all times in all of their lives. Connor is interesting too right here, because he doesn't say anything. He goes to get the phone for his dad, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't offer a response. But that's typical for Connor, because he's kind of treated like he doesn't really matter. He's not anything to reckon with. And he treats himself like that too. He doesn't really speak up on these matters. He neutralizes himself and acts as though he doesn't have anything to say. And I actually don't know if he does or not, but that's the path he's chosen to keep himself safe.
Okay. Oh. Okay, I'll tell him. He says that this could get very ugly for him. You played a decent move if you were to retract and say that you were unwell and that you misspoke.
Logan is
then maybe there's a deal
constantly
here.
willing to use anybody at his disposal, including his children, as pawns. And he doesn't care how they look, what happens to them. He really doesn't care. And so here again, he's requesting that Ken take the hit, make himself look unwell, and do it for him as though Logan is the only person that matters. And as though what Logan desires is the only person that matters. There is zero consideration for what this is like for Kendall or for any of the other kids. Like, Logan just doesn't think about them at all. He only thinks about them in relation to him and what they do for him or what they don't do for him.
Just tell him he should step back and cooperate. I don't want to see him behind bars.
That's fucking sanctimonious bullshit. It was a fucking play.
Logan does this too, where he minimizes any reaction against him, anything negative about him, as just, so he right here, he's doing it as like, it's just a play, as though there's nothing valid to what Kendall has done or said, which is generally how he treats his kids and anyone else around him. There's no validity to anything that they say if it's against him. Which, imagine that over time as his child, like, you really learn over the decades, the only thing that matters is Logan and what he thinks. And what you think and how you see the world does not matter. So again, this gets back to that individuation thing. It's really hard to individuate if your parent has not shaped you to think for yourself, go out in the world for yourself. It has not taught you that what you think and how you experience things matters. That has never happened. And it doesn't seem, I can't really tell from Mom, but she doesn't seem like she's too interested in getting involved emotionally with her kids either. So they're not left with much. For example, last season we saw that moment with Kendall and his mom where he wants to tell her something, and it's about the accident that happened and the death. And he's clearly shaken, and he asked to talk to her, and she's like, I'm tired, can it wait until morning? Which is dismissive already and hurtful probably. And then in the morning he gets up, when she's said, let's talk about it in the morning, he gets up, it seems like expecting that talk, and she's gone, and she's left some like goodbye note. And so it's just, again, from both parents, she didn't seem like she considered what that would feel like for Kendall. She doesn't care about getting into his emotions, showing care and concern for him, holding the emotion together. Like, these kids have never had that. So I just say that as like not making excuses for them at all, because they are well into adulthood, but, and they can make choices for themselves now. But they don't have a lot of real emotional sustenance in their life.
There's only one real play here.
What if I don't want to pull down my panties so fast?
Logan, that comment, weakness, femininity, all of that is lumped into one. Although what's interesting about him is that he is generally softer with women like Shiv and Jerry. Generally, he's softer, which means that Shiv has actually gotten less hostility from him. He treats her in a more normal way. Like, he brings more of his like kind of organic self to her in like brief moments, but we see a little bit more of this like real interaction between them, like that we don't see with him and his other kids, like a genuine interaction between two people. What we usually see from him is like hostility, or everything is a play, everything is a manipulation, you cannot trust anything. And I don't know if that's linked to something about his sister, so he can see women, the one Rose that I don't really know anything about, but that got mentioned at some point. I don't know if that's it, and he has a little bit of because of that, he has a softer relationship with women, or if whatever he had with his mom before she sent them away was enough for him to view women more favorably. I'm not sure. But it's not a lot more favorably. It's just a little bit of a softer thing. And it's unclear whether it's because of that or if because he just sees women as weaker. But I don't think he really thinks Shiv is weak. So I don't know about that lens, you know?
Do we want to order some food?
Food? Swallow. We're on saliva and no local foods. I get the shits, we're fucked.
Again, Logan doesn't care about anybody's needs except his own. Everybody needs to be like him, be on the same page as him. His shit is the only one that matters. His body is the only one that matters, when actually it's not. He needs all of these people. He cannot do this himself. He needs all of them. All of these people keep him afloat and his world afloat. But he would never want to admit that he needs all of them to keep him afloat. He would never say that. Unless like one little window or glimmer of time where he might, but he'll never do that. I would make him weak, most likely. Or make him feel too helpless and vulnerable to admit something like that or think about that. My guess is Logan was so traumatized and hurt by what happened between his father dying, his mother sending him away, and his uncle abusing him, that he vowed to never need anyone and never be weak again.
Frank, hey, listen. I just want to say, there's a place for you in the company I'm going to run. Jared, get me Jared.
Okay.
I think it makes sense that Kendall's in a crunch and he needs people wherever he can get them. I also think it's a sign of like, he's still in the middle of like, I'll take my dad's people and I'll get my dad's crew. And what he would have to learn in a healthier sense in the real world is get his own people and get his own world.
I'll hold it. Guys, we have another van for you over here. Okay, right this way.
Connor and Willa get left out, put another van, unimportant. He is constantly told that he's not really that important. He's treated kindly, relatively, from his dad compared to others. But because I think really in Logan's mind, he has dismissed Connor as a person of any substance.
Okay, Jess, what do we got?
We have independent directors, opinion shapers, A-list, and then...
Is it positive, Greg?
Super positive.
Super positive?
Yeah. Yeah, basically very good.
Nay, hey, I got a million calls, but I wanted to say hi. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Who said I never killed anyone?
What character?
Juice is loose, baby!
So Kendall gets a good report about what the temperature is out there in the world on him, and it makes him feel good. It seems to give him some zhuzh. And talking to Naomi, I suppose, and her calling him the best man in the world, Kendall is so needy and thirsty for approval. He so desperately wants it and needs it. And he will get it any way he can, which here is where I start to see that this is just a move for him in a way. It's a move to get approval. It might be against his dad, but it's not like he has any real moral skin in the game. You know, he doesn't, I don't think he really cares about how people are treated or what happens. It's not that. It's just that he wants approval somewhere and power somewhere and the spotlight somewhere. And he's had a really rough time with his dad, and he has never gotten approval there or from his mother. So, of course, he's dying for it elsewhere. Do I love it? No, but I do understand the dynamic, the internal dynamics of it.
We get Lisa, people will be like, gee, maybe this is bullshit.
Well, Shiv.
Yeah. I mean, you know, she's a friend.
Could you get it for me?
What I want to say about Shiv at this point is I've realized that initially they really played up this like liberal leaning Shiv. And to be honest, that creates a bias toward her as though like maybe she's nicer or maybe she cares about people more. And I would say this same thing applies to her that I just said about Kendall. And I don't really get the feeling that she genuinely cares about things that are on the left end of the spectrum and the people on that end of the spectrum. I think it's a move for her. I think in her mind, it helps distinguish her and differentiate her from the rest of her family. It feels like some kind of power move to her. Plus, it does get her a special role because she has invested time into that world, into the politics of that world. She now gets trotted out and used to go to someone like Lisa Arthur. And so it's been successful for her because it gives her a niche kind of within the family. But I don't think she really cares about the issues.
Oh, Khan.
This
Khan.
guy?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very important. Can you hold the fort here?
You mean hold down the Balkans with just 2 divisions?
So Logan plays this game with Connor, like, I'll play like you're important. And they sort of engage in this weird, like, this is bullshit, but let's keep this going. I think whatever awareness Connor has about that dynamic, he has repressed it, which makes him end up looking like he's kind of a dummy or out of it. But in that way, Connor has the best spot, in my opinion. That's where I'd want to be. Get me out of this, like, fuckfest. And find me unimportant. Let me be over here doing some weird play and whatever. Like, that seems like a much better situation.
So we'll talk about things when we get back, right?
Yeah. So,
Cool.
you know, because I love you.
I think it's really great to see Tom not fully take Shiv in. Like, he's learned something and he's not fully letting her in anymore at this moment. He's still being nice to her, like, as he says, but to see him have awareness of their dynamic, which I think Shiv does care about him, but she cares about herself and her dad and the business and the company and all that more. But she wants Tom around. He's not as important. And he's not even seen as substantive to her as everything else. She treats him like a thing, which is how she was treated, and all of the children treat other people like they're things, just like their dad treats them. I don't think they're as pathological as Logan, but it's hard to tell because they have obviously learned from their parents how to behave in the world, so they act like their parents. I don't know that they're as pathological, though, as their dad.
So, hey, wow, you really did it.
I fucking did it. It's been in the mail.
You came here for what?
And I need a hidey hole for meetings. Plus, I actually wanted to see you and the kids.
Bullshit. I mean, we haven't even seen the kids in the previous season, or Rava, really, I don't think. I can't remember at this point, but that's bullshit. And I don't know why Kendall thinks he needs to bullshit her. She's already let him in. He doesn't need to bullshit her, but he seems to think he does. And I don't buy that he cares about his kids necessarily. We have seen him show real care in the first season when it was Thanksgiving and Logan was being hostile and aggressive toward his son, toward Kendall's son, and lashed out at him at one point, and that really activated Kendall, and Kendall got very protective and lashed out back against his dad. And we've seen Kendall do that then and when Logan hit Roman. And those are moments where Kendall will get fiercely protective and lash out at his dad, which he has not done. He doesn't ever do otherwise. And so that to me, and that combined with the fact that we don't really hear him talk about his kids or seem to want to be with them very much, I'm not sure. I think those moments where we see him be very protective, my guess is his dad hit him or something like that happened to him. And what we also know is that Logan's uncle, when his mom sent him away to Canada, his uncle beat him and his brother Ewan. And so I think that has definitely gotten passed on. We've seen it with Roman and with Kendall's son. And I imagine it happened with Kendall as well. And probably Connor. I'm not sure exactly, but in real life, that would be pretty likely. So that's why I'm saying it here.
I didn't see it, but people are saying you did great.
Yeah, it was fine, whatever. You might want to watch it.
It's hard to tell if Kendall genuinely feels some humility about what happened. Humility in the sense of like, oh, now he's getting positive attention. He doesn't quite know what to do with it. Is that happening? Or if he really feels pretty puffed up about it and he's acting like he's humble about it.
So, what do you think? Can I do this? Can I win?
I don't know, Ken.
No, right.
See, he just seeks that approval with Rava. Seeking.
In terms of cooperation,
It's war! Fuck off!
I mean, it would just really make everybody's life easier if Logan would just give it the fuck up and, give it the fuck up and just let people move on without him. But he would never dream of how he's affecting others in his life or the company. He would rather fight because he is the most important thing. Why not just go live a life somewhere? Go live on an island and enjoy the rest of your life. Why won't he do that? I mean, I think it's clear why, because he's a raging narcissist, but he's a raging narcissist who veers into like sadistic, antisocial personality types, I would say. So it's not just that he's a narcissist, which, narcissists can range from like benign to malignant. He's more toward like the malignant end, and he's at the malignant end, and he gets into like more of the sadistic antisocial personality types where he enjoys the pain of others and cannot conceive of what things feel like for other people, and just doesn't concern himself with that.
Just gonna run to the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Hey, listen, there.
Tom's loyalty here is to Shiv, and because he's not part of the family, you can see Tom operate in a way that's like, Logan isn't always the most important thing to him. Other things are important to him, and so he's not in that orbit in the same way exactly. So he acts a little bit differently than the kids do. He makes Shiv the priority. He would not deign in this moment to say he wants it, because somebody else's needs and somebody else's desires are more important than his. And that is part of the family dynamic. And that is part of his relationship with Shiv.
Have a problem in there, buddy? Can't find a vein?
Hold on. Watch it, fuckhead!
Aggression in this world is always warranted, always okay. Nobody has to master their aggression and aggressive feelings. Not required. Because no one has dealt with the trauma of how they were treated by their parents, from the top down, from Logan, Ewan, no one recognizes the pain they felt. They continue to pass it on and on and on and on. All the pain is repressed and projected outward instead.
Interesting call.
What? No, just bullshit.
Just, boring phone calls about bullshit. It's just so boring, right, Chef? Just boring.
There just can be no direct conversations here ever. Not in this world, which we all kind of know that, but just that is a traumatizing situation, to live in a world where nothing is direct. You have to second guess everything. It is exhausting, and it makes you doubt everybody, and it makes you doubt yourself and your own reactions, because nothing can be trusted.
Can't we just say right off? Some jobs are money jobs, some are heart jobs.
We would love to work with you. We love the narrative arc. We love everything you did.
They love everything he did. I mean, they're playing a game here too, but of course they assume that this comes from a good place in Kendall, or at least they're hoping it is, but it's all everybody kind of still playing a game here.
It's my time. I can do it. I want it, and I think I can do it. So.
Roman gives any hint of doubt.
Sorry, what?
He's fucked.
You go.
Yeah, okay. Well, so, anyway, I'm just gabbling. So, love you, Dad.
He's out. Okay?
Logan demands no faltering whatsoever, no failures whatsoever. And we see this a little bit with Shiv, and he's sending her out to the lawyer. Because Logan can't tolerate any of that in himself. He really, really can't. He cannot tolerate it in anyone around him, and he can only see people in relation to him. So here he is in the middle of choosing like who's going to step up in his place, and I mean, at least as a facade. And he only thinks about people in terms of himself, so he can only gauge people in terms of himself and what he likes about himself. So you either live up to that or you don't. And so that makes you either good or bad in his eyes. And because he only sees part of himself and not himself as a whole, any weakness from anybody else that he sees or any kind of failure or whatever, that's a knock and you're out. Which is why it's been so hard to pick anyone to replace him, because of course in his mind no one can be him and as good as him, but really he can only feel that way about himself because he literally represses and blocks out and denies anything in himself that he doesn't like. So to him, he's done such a good job of that no one could possibly do what he's done. And really they wouldn't, because not many people are like him. So they would do it differently, but it doesn't mean it's worse or bad. But to him, his way is the best way and the only way.
Hey, Shiv.
Lisa, how are you?
Yeah, I'm thinking about my own position here. And to be honest, I could do with a friend.
This kind of Shiv manipulation drives me insane. It's so see-through. It's hard to tolerate. It's hard to watch.
He's not on the level, Lise.
Shiv, I am unavailable to help you.
I think people know that Kendall's not on the level in whatever way she means that, but I think if you're picking a side, these people would rather be on that side of things and fight that fight. Lisa sees through Kendall's bullshit too, I imagine.
The pipeline was still sending cruise girls out west when you were in LA though, right?
Yeah, that was deniability, Frank thinks. We essentially didn't even actually know. That's all in the little guys.
I mean, nobody cares about what's happened to anybody out in the world. Nobody cares about how the company's affected anyone. Nobody cares about anybody involved in these lawsuits, whatever. Cruises, whatever. Like, no, they don't care what's happened. But there is no room to care. There is no room or space to have an emotional reaction to any of it. Because, again, the only thing that matters is power and Logan. And where are you in his orbit? And when that's the case, you can't emotionally attach to anything else. And they haven't. Not Jerry, not Roman. And I'll get into like more ancillary people like Jerry and Tom and all that in later episodes. I'm just trying to stay focused on the kids and Logan pretty much in this episode.
Congratulations, Jerry. That's that's great. Congratulations. You
He's
fucking
like,
bitch.
Roman seems genuinely excited that it's Jerry. Maybe sexually excited, but excited.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So we lost Lisa? I guess you fucked it? Your friend doesn't like you?
This is what these idiots always do. They have to taunt each other, but then it tips the other person off, and then the game continues. Roman could have kept his mouth shut and not played that game with Shiv for a second. He wouldn't have brought this on.
Change of plan.
Cool if Naomi Pierce comes up.
Pierce?
Yeah, we have little thing.
Yeah.
Going.
Kendall
It's not weird.
really... His
She's
treating
kinda
people
good
like
for it.
things come out again and again. Like now he's treating his wife and her ex-wife and her place as a thing. And like he's kind of just slowly taking over and not really considering what it's like for her. She's also not telling him for some reason. And I guess she just wants to be helpful. But again, lots of indirectness in this world. Like nobody's really direct about anything. So Kendall will bring up his girlfriend. I mean, it's a little weird, but he's having meetings, having more and more people. He told her initially it was a few calls, but now we're doing all this.
Lisa and Keith are here.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Team Genius. Thank you for coming.
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Thank
You sure? Rob, it'll just be 4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, fine.
I would have a firm no on that. But maybe if I lived in that place, I could just go to my wing and I would be fine.
Or have you received a subpoena for the documents yet?
No. And look, to be clear, I will do whatever you tell me to do. I'm your puppet.
We saw Kendall be a puppet all last season. He knows how to do that because he knows it disarms people. And the thing about Kendall is because he does want approval at the base of things so much of the time, it does make him more likable in many scenarios. Not that he can't be a total dick, but it does make him more likable in more scenarios. This is in comparison to Roman or Logan, who really don't care about approval from people, and so they are much scarier in a sense than Kendall is.
I feel like you're my lawyer.
For fuck's sake! Greg, what the fuck?
You're a bad. Jess, can you... Yeah.
It's interesting that Rava lashes out at Greg when I think it's misdirected anger, but chooses Greg because Greg's the lower one in a sense, younger, lower. What? Not sure what she's doing with her repressed anger, where that's going. It makes sense that Kendall might choose someone who represses her anger like this, someone very different from his father, but she's still passive-aggressive, probably like his mother.
Do you want a room?
Yes, I want a fucking room! I'm about to eat dick for 3 hours straight, so...
He has no ability to manage, control, resolve bad feelings within himself. He lashes out, and it is so tiring. I'm so sick of men like this, and men like this in TV.
Go on, fucking say!
It's not a big... Lisa Arthur is going to represent Kendall.
Huh? Let's get Leo. We'll fucking beast him. We'll go full fucking beast!
Shocker that he would go beast. I think it's settling into him like how serious it is, and that it's not going away in the way that he can usually make things go away just by sheer will and willpower and brute force. So those are my thoughts for now on the first episode, and I'll keep going with my thoughts throughout the season, and I'm sure different scenes, different events will bring up different thoughts, and my goal is to help us all understand these characters a little more deeply so that you can understand people like this in your life a little more deeply, or yourself more deeply. How many times can I say deeply? And as I edit, I might come back in and splice in other thoughts that I think are relevant, and so we'll see. But thank you so much if you've gotten this far. Please let me know what I missed, what you noticed, what you think about what's happening, what you think about these characters, who you'd like me to talk about, or if there's someone you'd like me to focus on one time, or if there are other shows for the future that you'd like me to consider watching and going over. But anyway, thank you again if you've gotten this far. I'm so glad you're here with me. Please like and subscribe if you like this content, and I will see you next time. Bye.